All right, you guys, thank you for coming back to our series on meditation teachers about the ATIH by Drunvalo Melchizedeck. That is the Awakening the Illumined Heart seminar. Tonight, here with us is Thomas. And Thomas, would you like to tell us your full name and how to properly say it?
Thomas D. Winter.
All right, Thomas, thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure and an honor to speak with you tonight.
Thank you.
Thomas, why don't you tell us where you're located right now?
I am living in the mountains of the south of Bavaria in Germany. I moved here 13 years ago because of the space and the silence and the nature.
I know I love Bavaria. I live in Verona, grew up in Verona, and the Dolomites reminds me a lot of the southern part of Bavaria.
Mhm.
Beautiful, beautiful, quiet, beautiful view. So, where did you actually come from? You're originally from Germany?
From Holland.
From Holland. So you grew up in which
I
city?
grew up in mainly in the eastern part of Holland. Uh, I was born in a little village up north Amsterdam, and then we moved to the east part of this country. My father changed business, that is why we moved there. So close to the German border, but I got my education there and my first work experiences from Holland.
Okay.
And then I decided I had a vision that I was living on the slope of a mountain for a long time. I always thought it was Spain, but then I came across this house where I'm living now, with a free sight on the Austrian and the Swiss mountains.
Oh, beautiful.
So, and that house was fully equipped for the purpose I was going to use it for.
Nice. Amazing. It would be nice to have, since we are not too far, as soon as the situation with the lockdowns improves, it would be nice to have an in-person interview, but to be discussed. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your formal education? What did you study growing
I
up?
studied social sciences, human resources,
Hmm.
and that triggered something inside me that I was always involved people. No matter what I did in my life, I always had loads and loads of people around me. I was being and working in hotels, cafe, restaurants when I was studying, and I was working in the airport with thousands of thousands of people passing by. Then I had a pub where thousands and thousands of students came in and out. And then I decided to formalize my knowledge about people to do the social science study, to give it some more background. But intuitively, I always knew that the human body has the secret. And so I started surveying what I could do. So I came across a study which is called the science of haptos. That means the feeling quality of the body. Then I came across cranial sacral therapy, that you work with the rhythm of brain fluids. And I did an intuition development course for a long period of time with very amazing discoveries for myself. And then I came across Drunvalo.
Mm, beautiful. So let me just clarify. So your background is anthropology or psychology?
Psychology.
Psychology. Okay, beautiful. And then, as you said, a career that spanned multiple skills and
Mm-hmm.
and different businesses. Fascinating.
Right. Right.
And then you after you met Drunvalo's work, you started becoming a teacher fundamentally, I assume.
Well, initially, sacred geometry was a little far away for me, and I enjoyed the training, and that's why I was deeply impressed. And then within a year after, I heard in England was a trainer's training. So okay, let's do it. Whether I will give a workshop myself or not, but I just want to see what they do in this training. And that was an amazing, amazing experience. For instance, we were inviting the Hathors by singing the mantra Al Kalim Om, and this was an amazing experience. Within seconds, we had the helicopters above us
Interesting.
because they saw something happening on the radar screens which they could not explain.
Where were you at that time? Which area of the UK?
Close to London.
Wimbledon?
I don't remember the name of the place where it was. It was a little farmhouse where it was organized.
Okay, gotcha. Fascinating. Um, so you have been teaching the Awakening the Illumined Heart course since the very beginning, the inception, I assume, and also the Flower of Life, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I started with Flower of Life. I needed to present 38 hours of video information. And then the last days we could activate Merkaba, but they're not completely. The last 3 breaths were not allowed to be taken unless the person had permission of his higher self. And that was the beginning. Later, he published his 2 books, The Ancient Knowledge of Flower of Life, which is the same content as the 38 hours of video information we shared with the people. So the course diminished from 7 days to 3 days.
Okay.
And we just taught them how to do Merkaba later, which was, of course, fun. And I noticed that in the beginning, it was quite a struggle to get people familiar with the shapes of Merkaba and how to activate it and so on. It was really hard work. But it went faster and faster and faster to my amazement, because it went by itself later. I just mentioned something and people started nodding. I said, okay, I understand. So even they became a little impatient. So why don't we do it right away? That was fascinating to see. Drunvalo always said, the consciousness is on the planet. That is what I noticed myself in reference to this Merkaba knowledge. And nowadays we activate Merkaba in 1 breath.
Yeah.
So we went 7 days to 3 days, and now we have 1 breath.
Fascinating. So you actually saw the whole progression of the school from very beginning up to where it is right now. Did you take the Cosmic Grace course as well?
No.
Okay. There was one off, and then somehow Drunvalo decided not to proceed.
I watched it online partially, but it was fascinating material, and I hoped that he was going to organize a trainer's training where he would give this information to us, and in order we could teach it. But parts of it are still in our trainings. We brought it in ourselves.
Okay. Wow, fascinating. This is such a I mean, I come from, as I was sharing with you, I've not shared this with the audience before. I come from the yoga tradition, and so many of the elements that are imbued in the ATIH training are part of the Indian philosophy. I have a master's in Indian philosophy
Mhm,
and religions,
mhm,
I mean, sacred geometry is the mandalas and the yantras of the Tantra traditions. Very, very obscure and sacred, and almost um, almost got lost through the years and the centuries that it was taught.
mhm,
And many
mhm,
of the schools in the Kashmir tradition still teach them. And the use of uh, the use of the chakras system and the heart, the teachings of the heart, is very, very difficult to be found in the whole literature of the Indian tradition.
mhm,
Very little
mhm,
pieces here and there. You don't find such a clear
mhm,
step-by-step protocol anywhere in the Indian tradition, but in multiple darshanas, in multiple philosophies of the big uh, tradition at whole. And so when I met the ATIH content and Drunvalo's book, I knew I was onto something fascinating and incredible, because it was a condensation of all my studies. I could see all of these elements from my previous education. And hearing you talking about it so freely about experiences that I only read in books, it's even more fascinating. Um,
right. You know, his own training, he explained how he found this theory in relation with Merkaba meditation. I mean, he got it virtually from his higher self, from his angels.
mhm.
And but he needed to have theory related to it. And it was 20 years of his life to gather this information. But it is the way it is now.
As a
Uh,
condensation of all that work.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the ancient secret of the flower of life. I don't know anyone that picked up that book and didn't get extremely fascinated by the sacred geometry explanations and the stories that he narrates about thought and his higher self. Somehow, some people even feel a little bit almost alienated, because I don't have access to my higher self, or at least if I do, it's very faint. I don't have a direct communication, um, for now at least. And my guides um, are subject to be discussed in another forum, I guess. so, so I guess, what can you tell us? Would be my next question. What can you tell us about you coming to meet him? How did it happen? How did you get in touch with
Oh,
Drunvalo the first time?
that's a very funny story because a friend of mine, an American friend, gave me a flyer of his workshop. That was in January in the year 94. And I said, come on, I'm not going to fly to America for a course. You must be joking. But he came back with audio, 38 hours audio recordings. And said, okay, can I listen to it just to get an impression? With the third tape, I knew I needed to go there.
Mhm.
So I went to this last workshop he gave himself, and that was the beginning of all.
On the Flower of Life, the last workshop on the Flower of Life. Yeah. And then you attended the ATIH and the training and the teacher training for the ATIH.
Yeah, yeah. 2 years later.
Wow, that was short time. So he compacted everything in 2 years. That's amazing.
Well, no, he was teaching himself this ATIH for a long time, but his higher self and his ascended masters pushed him to get the information out in the world as soon as possible.
Okay.
And he on himself could not do that.
Okay.
So that is when he decided to have teachers. Although he thought he would never be able to do it. But with help of others, he did.
Okay, that's fascinating.
So
Let me ask you. So
I went
what year was
I
that?
went It must be 97 or 98. I don't remember exactly the year.
Okay.
So, but it was, let's say he was teaching how to teach his workshop.
Okay.
And I attended it many, many times when he was giving it, because I started organizing for him in Europe. I gave him workshops here in Holland and in Russia, where I took the Flower of Life work. And so I have quite an experience with him.
Mhm. So we're literally talking about 20 years of teaching in your case,
Yes.
between the Flower of Life and the ATIH.
Yeah, I think that's 2 or 3 years. When I was teaching Flower of Life, and then he opened for us to give
The ATIH.
ATIH. Yes.
Okay, fascinating. That's a long time. So here's a juicy question, which I've asked all the other teachers, and I think has extreme value. So how do you experience on your daily meditation and your personal practice the Merkaba and the tiny space of the heart? And feel free to answer anyway, but please do refer to your own experience, your personal experience.
Well, I lost the sense of time. There's no linear time. Everything is here at the same time. So whenever I am in the heart, I can see and feel everything at the same time.
Mm.
And of course, there is a cosmic blueprint for me personally, but also for the others. So they might not give it all at once, but I have the feeling that we are in a fast moving train.
Mm.
A train was running so fast that I cannot see the speed even.
Mm.
When I step out of the train, then I might see it.
Mm.
But it is an enormous, and I believe that the destiny of the train is not clear.
Mm. Gotcha. And
But
so, yeah.
we can destine the destiny of the train
We can.
through the tiny space of the heart.
Okay.
But I never felt doing it that yet. I mean, we have a Merkaba field, but the Earth has also a Merkaba field. So what hinders me to program the Earth Merkaba? But it never felt right to do it yet. But it might be. Tonight I gave a live meditation on Facebook that I learned this week there is a certain frequency of light which does not allow COVID to be.
Mm.
That is a physical lamp they created. So in other words, the consciousness must be here on the earth to have this light around you, so COVID cannot be close to you or inside you.
Mm. Would you like to share the link? If you just tell us what it is, I'll make sure it's written in the comments so that people can go on Facebook and see what and participate in it.
Yeah, it was a TV broadcast for a Dutch inventor. He is an I can trace it for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then I'll add it for everybody over here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so let me see if I understand. You use the tiny space of the heart for your personal practices to go out of time and space. And what you
Well,
perceive is this timeless movement
we
of
have,
Earth.
we have two spaces. The tiny space is the point of creation, and the first space is a little bigger and holds the Akashic records of me, but the entire universe. This that is where you can find all the answers we have.
Can I ask you, just to clarify? So the bigger space is what Drunvalo calls the heart. going into the heart, and then that
Yeah,
the space of creation is what he calls the tiny space of the heart.
right.
Okay, so one space is for knowledge acquisition, and the other one, can we say, for manifestation or creation purposes?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And so how do you use each other's, and like, let's say if you go into the heart, do you go in there with a specific question and you want to know something about something?
Now let's put it this way. Drunvalo said, I live in two worlds at once. The world I see with my eyes and the world I see in my heart. And we do also training with our participants of being in two spheres of light at the same time.
Okay.
So then I make the link with this expression of Drunvalo that we don't need to be in meditation. We can see it even with our eyes open or driving our car.
Right.
But it is a matter of intention.
Mm.
But I love the world to see the world through my heart, even when I am cleaning my house or something.
That's beautiful. And would you like to share how you use it for knowledge acquiring? Like, was there a time when you needed an answer, or you needed like a life-changing answer or inspiration or guidance, and you went into the heart and you received it?
Well, I just surrender. Everything comes to me due time.
Mm.
When I want something to know, then I have a big chance that it is my ego who wants that.
Oh, interesting question. Wow.
So I surrender, and then it comes to me reading my, let's say, news in the early morning, or just going through Facebook or whatever I do, and then I get hit. Oh, this is what I thought this morning, or oh, this is what I needed to know.
Mm.
So it comes to me by itself.
So let me see if I understand properly. So you go into the heart, you drop the question, and then surrender with the certainty that the answer will come at the right time.
Well, even more precisely, when you live in the two worlds at the same time, you don't need to go there because you are already there.
Right. Okay. Right. I can relate to what you're saying. Oftentimes, I just leave the questions that I have in the, I call it the back burner of my brain, but I know they fall down into my heart as somehow immediately or short after, or a few days after, I get an intuition or an idea or an inspiration to
Right.
answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads me to the next phase, which is the tiny space of the heart. And so, would you like to share some instance where you use the tiny space of the heart in your life, in your daily life, to make some outstanding changes, or something that the heart, the tiny space of the heart, created for you to in your life?
What is mostly happening is when I wake up at night, mostly after a dream, then I don't want to start thinking. I just travel through the tiny space of my heart. I just be there and breathe with it. And whatever comes, comes.
Wow.
And then I connect it with my sexual energy to be more creative and more powerful.
Mm. Okay.
But the angels, this Drunvalo's higher self, taught him not to do that, not to make that connection with,
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. The angels taught him what?
not to make that connection with sexual energy. And I understand why. Because sexual energy can be very diluted.
Diluted.
Yes. Yes. When I make love with someone, I'm opening myself completely. And I become very vulnerable for anything which might be in that person or around that person. So without knowing, and if I connect it with my creation, then I might create things which are not desired.
Okay.
So Drunvalo works in this meditation with two spheres, one around the head with the beams of light, and the sphere around in the center of your chest, around your heart. But there is a third sphere, which is around your second chakra, your hara. And that makes you very, very, very powerful, as you will understand. And so that is what I do. I do my breathing exercises and connect the tiny space of my heart with the sexual energy. That is, in my words, the energy of creation.
Okay. So let me see if I understand clearly. So you go into the heart and draw the energy from your hara up because that gives you more strength and more power. And you make sure to do that in a let's call it desireless way. Can we say that? Am I using the right words? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that I can very much relate. Yep.
A state of being, not wanting or needing.
I mean, it's really fascinating. I need to forgive me if I keep on doing this translation in my own head. You're literally like the sages describe their personal experience. That's how the Indian yogis and sages would this in some cases describe their daily practice. They just go into the heart and be there, and receive what comes, or yeah, or use intention. So why don't you spend a couple of words in sharing with us how you use intention in your daily practice?
More or less, I talk directly to my higher self. And I say, this is what I don't want. I don't want to go in this direction. Or thank you for showing this to me. Or whatever is there. But I'm very precise what I want and what I don't want.
Can you give us an example? If
let us say if someone desires money from me, and that is higher self, I don't want to have that kind of questions.
Okay. I don't want this guy bother me fundamentally. Yeah. And so what happened when you shared that with the higher self? He took care of it, or you got instructions on what to do next?
No, there's no doubt.
Which of the two?
There, as always, is fulfilled.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Interesting. Wow, beautiful. So I'm gonna stick to the very pragmatical use and practice of the tiny space of the heart and the Merkaba because a lot of people have a challenge finding happiness due to the three main processes in everyone's life, which are, money, health, and relationships. These are the three basic variables in everyone's life's equations for happiness. And I'm wondering how you can share with our audience the way you used or the way you practiced and the Merkaba and the tiny space of the heart, and that fulfilled these three basic variables in your life.
You know, Drunvalo says creation only takes place when your belief is 100%. 99.9 does not exist. So you need a lot of trust in your heart, whatever you want to create. And that is why I'm very, let's say, distant of creation, because I need to know for sure whether I need to create this, yes or no. But I
Duality
go
of the
for,
mind, you mean?
no, I just sense. If, you know, my master said once, whenever there's doubt, sleep overnight. So when I sense the slightest doubt, then I don't. I don't create. So I am not creating the three elements you called about the money. There is something which I know, that my feeling of wealth creates everything, including the money. So if I feel the wealth within me, the wealth comes to me. If I relate to myself very well, then the partner is there also. If I don't relate to myself very well, then the partner will not be there, or it will be compensation of my own, let's say, unfulfillment, the feelings of unfulfillment I have. And then what was the third element? The
Health.
money and
Health.
the health. The health issue is the same story. When I feel healthy, when I allow my thoughts to come to me, say, oh my God, I can get COVID, or I can get cancer, or whatever. They come to me. Of course, we live in it reality, but I correct it always. I always say to myself, you must be stupid thinking that.
As you think, so you become, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
The power of the brain is so amazing, strong. Whenever I have thoughts and allow the thoughts to be there, then it just happens. Since the brain is impulsed by my heart.
Fascinating. I really enjoy speak with you guys, and there's so much experience behind your words. Thank you for sharing that. And I would like to ask you one more question about the activation of the Merkaba and the body of light. Please share with us your experience and what you went through when it happened.
When we were doing it very mechanical in the beginning, we had 17 breaths to be taken in order to activate Merkaba. I could see each step, what I was doing in each breath, because I'm very visual. But since the consciousness of Merkaba is so clearly here on Earth, then just having the slightest feeling of Merkaba, it is activated.
I'm not sure I follow you. The feeling of Merkaba.
The tiniest feeling of Merkaba will activate it.
Can you describe that feeling?
A deep, deep trust of knowing that you are, and knowing with a big K, that knowing that you live in Merkaba. And it is there.
Okay. So I guess your long practice gives you, I mean, you're talking to someone that had one experience right now, and a lot of our audience, people don't even know what the Merkaba is. And for those that don't, I want to share quickly, the Merkaba is this inverted double star tetrahedron that naturally manifests through the DNA and the physiology of the human body. Some other bodies throughout the universe manifest a different Merkaba with different shapes. The human one is in the form of three lateral based pyramid inverted one on top of the other. They form what we call the Star of David, but in 3 dimensions. The rotation of these pyramids manifests as a form of light and energy that purifies, strengthens the human body, and generates what Drunvalo and the teachers share as the light body. And so,
which is huge saucer around you, like an UFO.
it creates like a vehicle, right?
Yeah,
For astral and etheric travel.
but it is a life field of energy. It is not a hard shell energy shape. If you're talking about a UFO, it is a hard shell.
Like a field of energy, like an electromagnetic field, right? I
It
assume.
is a living field because it is connected to your heart. It breathes even with you.
Okay.
When you breathe in, it expands. When you breathe out, it contracts a little.
A
So
lot
it
of
is with you.
a lot of people relate to the concept of the aura. Is that what we're talking about? It's a different thing.
Well, we have a Leonardo sphere around our body that is mostly seen as the aura. A Merkaba field is much bigger than the aura.
Mm-hmm.
It is an energy field. We can create it now as big as we want. In the beginning, we were stressing it was 18 meters in diameter. And he said, now create the size which fits you.
Okay, fascinating. And so how did they come up with all these measures? I suppose, I know the answer, but I would like to hear it from you.
Well, as he said, he studied for 20 years to get a theory with Merkaba. And of course, it was, let's say, the opening of the consciousness of Merkaba on the earth. So he needed to be very structural to get the understanding right with the people.
Mm.
And he started off to be using the intuition, but he noticed that he didn't attract the man, only the women.
Mm.
So, and he understood that men need to be a part of the workshop as well. So he needed to make it very logical. And so that's why he created the 17th breath in order to activate Merkaba.
Okay, right.
And later it was added like the unity breath, which is the grid around Merkaba, which is equals the grid around the planet.
Okay, thanks. Can I just remind you, your thumb is on the camera.
Right.
The other question that I wanted to dig a little more into is about the light body. So this UFO like energy, this bigger field around the human body, is that the light body, or
Yes.
they're two different things? They're the same.
No, it is the light body.
Okay. Wow.
Light body and Merkaba.
And how?
Merkaba is just the name for it.
So they're the same thing. The Merkaba and the light body are the same thing.
Yes, they are the same thing.
Okay. And so what is the connection between the chakras and the Merkaba?
Well, the chakras are little Merkaba fields. They are intertwined rotating fields of energy coming from your body. They originate in the prana tube in the center of your body. And whenever you flow the prana through the tube, the prana gets through your chakras as well, which makes you a higher dimensional being. So you pass from the three-dimensional world to the fourth dimensional world, where the world of thinking becomes real. So, and in fact, it is the same as the Merkaba, the same functioning. Also, it has a different location. It is related, coming in 90 degrees from the prana tube, except the top one, the crown, and the bottom one, the first chakra, the root chakra,
Okay.
that spins into the earth, and your crown spins into the universe.
I found very fascinating the idea that all of the energy centers within the human body are divided in octaves, and
Yeah.
above and below. That just clicked everything somehow in my head. Everything made sense for some reason
Yeah.
intuitively. I don't know why. I still don't logically understand how it connects, but it made so much more sense.
Did you know? Do you know how many chakras we have in our brain?
No, I don't.
144,000.
Wow.
When I heard this for the first time, then I thought, okay, why are we talking about 7 main chakras?
Mm.
That is Tom Kenyon who found that.
So how did, I mean, like, how did they come up with this number, and what do they justify this
Well, Tom
information?
Kenyon studied the brain for a long time. He is a sound healer, and he studied the brain, and somehow he came up with this information. Maybe they studied a small part of the brain and counted the number of chakras, and then they understood by multiplying that it must be
Right.
144,000, or he just got it through the Hathors, where he's closely connected with.
Okay, fascinating. What do you think is the current evolution of Earth? I mean, like for the last 20 years, in 2000, it was the end of a biblical calendar, 1000 of
Mm-hmm.
1000, the return of Christ, and nothing happened. And then 2012,
Mm-hmm.
the end of the Mayan calendar, and there was a supposed soul of flesh, and we were going to be blown up, but then something happened, and then now in 2020, the world actually finished. It's over now with this COVID nonsense. Actually, I'll have to edit that because I'll be censored if I say something like this. What is your opinion? Where are we going, and what is the ascension
Well,
point?
let me repeat what Drunvalo told me about his findings with the indigenous. The Maya calendar didn't end. It is still on, but they only lost the date when it ends. Within the tribe of the Mayas, we have also many layers, so to say. And in their discussion, they knew it was going to happen, but they lost the dates. So they don't know even when Earth will end,
Right.
and when
So
the Maya calendar will end. So it is still on, so to say.
so basically, they didn't have more space in their calendar, and that's why it ended.
No, there is still space in the calendar because it still continues on. It didn't end, according to the indigenous telling this to Drunvalo.
Okay. So what do you mean they're missing the date? They just didn't calculate it.
They lost the calculation somehow.
Okay, gotcha. So why did we have a 2112, a 2012 as like a supposed
The whole world jumped on it. I mean, it became, like, say, very commercial quotation. I mean, the whole world wanted to be popular or whatever they wanted to be. All of a sudden, they all knew about the 12th of December,
right?
12th.
So
It was very funny, by the way. I don't know whether you know that Drunvalo was live on internet that moment.
right.
And I was giving an ATIH in Istanbul, in Turkey. And they arranged for us to have him online that moment. For me, it was a very precious moment to be connected with him. And because he wanted to be with us, just in case the world would end.
Okay,
But we all know nothing happened.
right. I mean, I have read
Well, well,
clearly.
well let me correct this. Let me correct this. We all think that nothing happened, but on the energetic level, very many things happened.
Okay, like
Opening new dimensional life forms, opening gateways, opening cosmic windows. So we can access different levels of information.
Okay. I know of a clear report by NASA of somewhere between the end of July, I think it was 27, or the 1st of August 2012, of a massive corona ejection, giant, like the biggest ever recorded. And it missed Earth by like an hour. If that thing, like literally, it just passed by Earth's shoulder. I think it passed between the moon and the Earth. I'm not really sure. I couldn't really understand what they described as the space, because they have these name nomenclatures and the lines of the star latitudinals. But it was pretty clear that it missed the Earth by some 500 kilometers, and if it had hit the Earth, it was August, September, October, November, December. Most likely by that time, the whole electrical system on one face of the planet would have been burned out. There would be no electricity, no transportation. Everything for 4 months, for those 4 months, would have been a disaster everywhere. Probably a lot of fires everywhere. And, in 4 months, without electricity, without transportation, we could have come to the end of society and our
Right.
civilization.
Many people would have died.
Yeah.
Because we are so away from our nature.
Right.
We are so dependent on our heating and whatever. In that same live broadcast on the 12th of December 2012, Drunvalo traveled to the Galactic Command to ask him if there was anything they want to tell us. And they gave them a small correction because in the ATIH, we make the connection with Mother Earth and Father Sky. We forgot to connect with the inner child. So we make the connection from inner child with Mother Earth and Father Sky. But also,
Father Sky, you mean with the sun?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you can make a choice where you want to travel to. You can go to the physical sun, you can go to the grid around the planet, or you can go to the galactic sun.
Okay. Could you clarify?
That's why the indigenous travel.
Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you.
That is why the indigenous are traveling to the galactic sun, or the central sun is also called. Well, this galactic command is responsible for whatever happens on the Earth. So whatever happens to us is their scenario. So they protect us. I mean, I was going to ask you, why do you think this solar explosion of flash missed Earth?
Right.
I see it as a result of collective command.
Okay. Very interesting.
And we can easily travel there and ask our questions.
Okay. Can you tell us a little more about the idea of this command center? I mean, is this a physical place, etheric place? What can you tell us a
The
little
way
bit?
I see it, energetic.
Okay.
So I see like a board of members sitting around the table and very wise persons who make their decisions.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, I have a very interesting experience. I was in Moscow once with Drunvalo, and a man came up front, asked him a question, and he instantly tuned in. He said, "Tom, we need to go to him." Okay, I'll arrange it for you to meet him. Next day, we went there, and he was a minister of the German government. But he had a very long table. And on each side of him, there were 6 ladies sitting. All of the ladies were highly psychic. And Drunvalo told him one thing which he noticed, which he knew it was going to happen. He said something in the border area between Russia and China, something would happen, like the soil would become soft and everyone will sink in, something like that. And he checked, that minister, to one of these ladies sitting on his right. And he asked them, is this correct? I saw her changing it in that particular moment. She changed the scenario, which was meant to happen there. So powerful were these ladies. So can you imagine to have a ministry of 12 ladies who were sitting there doing their magic work?
Do you think they were associated to the real societies? Well, you were there physically. You were there with Drunvalo.
Yeah. It was like, it looked to me like the Last Supper. This guy was sitting in the middle and he had these 12 ladies on each side.
Right.
And some of the ladies came to my workshop.
So 24 ladies in total, or 6 and 6. They were 6 and 6.
Yes.
And then some of them came to the workshop.
Yes. Yes.
Fascinating.
That is why they knew about Drunvalo's work.
Right. And they were all blonde, blue eyes, and super beautiful, I assume.
No. Some of them, they were older.
Okay. Do you reckon there was some connection with the real society?
It must be, because it was a ministry.
A ministry? You mean like a church?
No, a ministry.
The actual ministry of Germany in Russia.
A ministry of, I had a certain name, I forgot the name, something of psychic science or something.
Okay, so it was independent of the German government. It was an institution
Russian, not German, Russian.
Russian. But the ministry was German.
No, Russian.
Okay.
I was in Moscow with Drunvalo.
Okay, gotcha. So the Germans had nothing to do with it. It was it was a Russian institution of highly psychic individuals.
Yes, but a part of the parliament.
The Russian parliament. Okay, so it was like the ministry of that, like an actual political institution under the Russian government that dealt with psychic abilities and all that.
You got it.
Okay, that's incredibly fascinating stuff. I need you to give me a little bit more reference. Do you remember the name, or can we look it up?
I can find it for you.
That would be brilliant. You guys, it will be attached below here. We'll have a description of the subject. And for anyone out there that is Russian and wants to clarify and add or ask questions, please do so. Add them down here in the question sessions. Thank you for sharing that. That's something I've never heard of. Well, I actually did know the Russian government has been studying psychic abilities for more than 100 years now. But never heard a direct person first-hand account about it. And so how did Drunvalo know about what was going to happen at the border with China?
He had a psychic lady, a young lady around him in that time who could see everything.
Oh, I remember. She's in a couple of videos. What was her name? She
I don't remember her name.
Blonde, very psychic, yes.
Yeah. And she came to my farm in Germany one time. So we worked with her.
What did you do?
I organized a workshop for her. She wanted to be working with people. And she did some kind of ceremonial thing and meditations.
What's the story of this young lady?
Well, Drunvalo made videos about her.
Yeah, I remember. She's also in the books. The story of that guy of the portfolio.
And he visited them in Mexico. And at that time, he didn't really understand who they were. but obviously were some high-ranked psychic daughters she had.
We're talking about Drunvalo's daughter?
No.
Whose daughter?
The Mexican family.
The Mexican family that hosted the training.
No, were the natural daughters.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What was that?
Their natural daughters.
Of who?
A cousin family of 4, and she had 2 daughters. Both of them were very psychic.
Okay. And one of them is this young lady that worked with Drunvalo.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else you would like to share about it? I understand it could be private and you don't want to.
No. He explained everything on his videos about her.
All right, cool. So what do you think is going to happen to Mother Earth and the human society, and what do you think about the evolution of humanity right now and what people consider the ascension process? There's a lot of talk about ascending and non-ascending and going one way or the other and the separation, polarization, blah, blah, blah.
What I personally think is that there is no scenario in the moment.
Ooh.
We're in the middle of nowhere.
We're just improvising.
We are just not knowing where it moves ourselves. But we have to do something, certainly about the climate. And
About the guys that are making all this mess. Should we do something about them too?
and all of a sudden there is. Did you hear or see anything about Zach Bush? This MD in, I think he lives in the States, and he is absolutely brilliant.
Medical doctor. His name is Seth Bush.
Yes.
Sethbush.
No, that's Zechbush.
Okay.
And well, go to his work. I love him.
Okay.
He explains in a simple way how we can change the climate. If it needs to come through our governments, for instance, he says for the CO2 pollution, they all look up there, but it is the soil who needs to absorb it. But will absorb it. But if we kill the soil, then it cannot absorb our CO2. So when we bring the quality back to an organic state, then it will go by itself.
Right. There's also to say that CO2 is absorbed by trees. So if we keep on cutting trees, ain't gonna happen. And burning them, that's gonna even be worse.
But more interesting is, why are we cutting the trees? Which minds are creating that?
Right. So, I mean, it's definitely a global challenge and a global issue that a lot of people want to address, but there are forces and individuals that have a lot of interest in not.
We have one issue, which is greed. Greed makes us very disastrous.
And what is the solution to greed? I see one, but I would love to see what your opinion is on the subject.
We just share.
Share. Right. Yeah, that's a direct solution to it. I was thinking that probably the best way to literally eliminate greed is to go back to a psychic, telepathic society like it used to be 15,000 years ago before the end of Atlantis.
Well, that is a good way of seeing it, because I believe we will only change when the material world is taken away from us.
Can you clarify?
If we lose our material
Yeah.
things where we are so addicted to, if it doesn't exist anymore, then we will change.
Well, that's called death.
No, no, no. We can still be here, but without materialistic things.
Okay.
Drunvalo says the end of time will be everything artificial will collapse because it is based on our thought forms. Plastic is created through the human mind. If the human mind is not holding that conscious anymore, then it collapses.
Okay.
And this is with all the matter we created, which is non-natural.
I mean,
So in other words,
that is true of everything, even the human form, the body, the anthropomorphic shape that it has, no?
this is natural. The shape of our body is natural. It's created by nature.
Okay.
It's given by Mother Earth to us. So she created it. But all the things around is artificially created.
Right. Okay. So fundamentally, we're going back to the cave ages.
Living with nature.
All right. And I don't know how a lot of people will perceive this. It sounds like a step back on one level to lose all the cultural development.
We will be so happy not to catch up with all our duties, all our things we must in our minds realize we need the money for, and so on. If the money is not there anymore, if the financial system fully collapse, then we start trading again, as we did in the past. I need only a few square meters in my garden to have my own supply of vegetables and things I need.
Mhm.
Now, if you look to um, the the merchandise, how it is traveling over the planet. For instance, we grow potatoes in Holland, but they are washed in Italy because the washing is cheaper there than they can do it in Holland. So they transport all the potatoes to Italy and back again just to have them washed.
That sounds lame.
I mean, just think of this way of thinking.
Hmm.
And this is full of it.
Right.
So if we go back to urban farming, it makes a huge difference in the world.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and it feels like a trade-off. Is there a way to still have the evolutionary human creations and a society without financial constrictions or hyper responsibilities or addictions to one thing or the other? I'm wondering if there's a middle ground in between, going back to the cave ages and the hyper technological society that we are aiming for right now. There must be a middle ground in there.
Well, I see it as intention between the darkness and the light. Everything not natural is for me darkness. And until we see we need to cooperate together in order to rescue the situation we created. And then the world will change instantly. We all think it is very far away to have this world changed, but we can do it within a couple of weeks.
Okay. I'm going to jump to the uh, more edgy questions and feel free to just say pass if you don't want to talk about it.
Uh-huh.
So the first question is, how have you experienced an increase of personal telepathy, extrasensory perception, psychic abilities increase since you activated the Merkaba and your light body, or your light body?
Well, this is the feeling of having no secrets anymore. Everything is there, under reach. Whatever we want to know will be known.
So I assume, yes, you do feel there has been a massive increase of your.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But it is linked to our belief system, what I say, and what Drunvalo says. I 100% feel with him in that matter. You know, we always hold a little back, but I cannot do that, or I don't want to do that. That holds it back.
As you think, so you become. We're going back to that. I very much relate my personal growth in the last 2 decades as a process of clearing these belief systems. I mean, mind you, it
Mm-hmm.
never really ends. You always have to watch your thoughts for forms of belief, whether societal or personal. Um, but thank you for
Yeah,
mentioning
thank you for mentioning that, because one of the reasons I live in Germany, because the house is big enough to host an institute, which is called Biotybernaut, offers an alpha training. And that is exactly what you just said, getting out everything which is not needed anymore,
Mhm.
which allows you to have the alpha state of mind or the theta state of mind.
Mm.
And if you have the theta, you can see everything.
Mm. I want to piggyback on that and mention also the work of Morty Lefko, Lefko. And I think there's a T in between there, but if you guys are searching on him and want to know more about dropping belief systems and changing belief systems, he's an outstanding author and trainer as well out there in the States. I will add your institution into the link as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
big work,
You know,
personal work.
he is a scientific guy who found that 7 weeks of training can be compared with 20 years of meditation. When I heard him saying that, I said, okay, when I can go fast, I will.
Right, true. Okay, so more fringe questions. What do you know about inner Earth beings and hollow Earth beings and individuals or societies that are within the planet?
Well, I met them when I was working with Drunvalo in a seminar, and I was amazed how easy I could connect with them. But on a daily basis, I don't connect with them somehow. Um, when I connect with Mother Earth, I am in the center of a civilization. I see a lot of light there, but I don't communicate with them somehow. But I know they are there. So whenever I feel like connecting with them, I will.
So when you said that you connected to them during the training, you mean on a psychic level or in person?
No, in psychic level.
Okay, on a psychic level. So during meditations, you during that specific workshop, you connected with them and had a
Right,
communication.
right. Yes.
Okay, so was it a vision? Was it a chat? What do you remember? What happened in that instance?
Well, they are physical beings in the core of the earth. Um, so you can communicate like we are doing now.
Mhm. Okay, so what is your opinion of the? I mean, this is related but distant. So Egypt, what can you tell me about the Sphinx and what's underneath the Sphinx and the Hall of Amenti and all of that?
I am 4 times per year. I'm there.
You go there 4 times a year.
Yes.
In body
And
or mind?
in body. No. I am privileged to have an organizer who organizes um, private sessions in the pyramid and private sessions with the Sphinx. So with my group, I'm there privately. Each time when I'm there, I said, "Oh my God, is this true? Is this happening?" Yes, it is. So what I do in between the pause of the Sphinx, I travel with my participants down to the halls of Amanti.
Now we're talking about mentally, psychically, meditation.
Meditation.
So you
Yes.
sit over there between the paws of the Sphinx, and then you
I
leave it.
travel down with them
Okay.
and I guide them. The halls of Amanti do have a flower of life symbol on the floor.
Hmm.
And there is a pink flame in the middle of this flower of life symbol. And I asked them to lay down in a circle on the floor with their feet to the purple flame. And then I allow them to have their spirits moving to the purple flame and have the information which needs to come to them. And then we will come back. It is like an initiation.
Okay.
So Thoth brought there the Akashic records of Earth, as you know, before the fall of Atlantis.
These are
So,
physical records, right?
yes, they are physical records which are there. And he said whenever he could not have done that, life would have ended in that moment. But still, we hold that precious information in the halls of Amanti before Atlantis. So when we merge our spirits with it, we have the knowledge.
Okay. So the reason why you bring people there is so that they can get in touch with this knowledge and kind of assimilate it in their system.
So at home, they might think out of the blue, oh my God, I never thought of this, and I need to do that.
Okay, gotcha. Fascinating stuff. Okay, we'll add certainly your travels to Egypt. When is the next one happening?
In May.
Okay, so we'll add that to the description down here. Um, and what do you think about the plateau? I mean, the Sphinx and the Giza plateau, according to some individuals, have an underground city. Uh,
Um, I know that the satellites can look nowadays about 6 to 10 meters into the soil,
Kilometers.
and they don't.
Uh, Kilometers. 6 to 8 kilometers. No.
No, meters.
Okay.
So, and what they discovered is they saw a labyrinth on the Giza Plateau. I haven't heard anything about the sea, but it doesn't mean it is not there. And but I have funny experiences. For instance, when they measure frequencies, let's say in the Queen's chamber, to my perception, the Queen's chamber is switched off. The regular vibrations which are there, they are regulated by some kind of, because the pyramid is each time, and also the Sphinx is each time is different. It's never the same.
Mm.
Sometimes it is stronger, sometimes it is just like dead. Nothing happens there. And I believe they will not allow some information known, what is, let's say, essential for the pyramid and for the Sphinx. And
Okay.
I see the pyramid as masculine, and I see the Sphinx as feminine.
Okay. It also, I know that there's some form of connection to the seasonal cycles and the equinoxes.
Hmm.
So maybe,
Yeah, but sometimes I don't never plan this, but I'm always there on full moon.
okay.
It just happens.
Right. Fascinating. So, and were there any outstanding experiences that people you led there had during those travels?
Yeah,
Something,
yeah, 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 yeah.
something that you
People
share?
lives are changed forever. Not with all of them, but some of them.
Okay.
They had an like an initiation.
Okay. Okay. And so, want to tell us a little bit about the sun? You mentioned the central sun before, and the solar flashes, uh, the CMEs, and societies that live supposedly within the sun. Can you share your experience and opinion on the subject?
Yeah, well, they are total different beings living inside the core of the sun than the ones who lived in the core of the earth. Honestly, I don't know if they communicate together.
Hmm.
I think it would be wise to do so, but I've never seen it, but it doesn't mean it is not there. Um, so, but actually, in this moment, I'm not very much involved in that, but it might come when it is essential.
Okay. Um, okay, this is a very controversial question. So, in the process of death, the soul, when the soul travels to supposedly the afterlife, a lot of authors and psychologists, so renowned individuals of science, have described, or better, have noticed a pattern in their subjects' descriptions of the afterlife, and that is they get out of their body, they're lighter, they're not heavy as in the body, and then they see a light, they go to the light, they are in a tunnel, and this
Mm-hmm.
tunnel of light takes them elsewhere where they meet family, friends, angels, some form of a greeter that invites them to either stay or go back. If they decide to stay, they're taken to a place where they can rest or learn or discuss about their life, and then
Yeah.
eventually they are coming back to Earth. So a lot of people, I mean, I've read multiple reports where some researchers claim these to be a trap, where souls are cycled back to Earth through the moon or even just through the atmosphere. Would you like to comment about these statements according to your own experience and your opinions?
Now, well, you know, whenever I have someone, a friend or a member of the family who is passing, I follow them where they travel. And what I noticed many
You're
times
talking
is
about meditation and
I travel with them.
okay.
And I what I noticed is that they are, it depends how they leave. For instance, my older brother recently died, and he was very sick in the end of his life, and they keep him asleep on the other side with the parents, with my parents, our parents. They are, and he will awaken slowly in his own time, and he would see the reality like a dream. And then the family members will connect with him, and then they will show him and tell him what kind of world he is in. That is what I've seen many times.
Mhm.
And recently I had a good friend who also passed, and that same night she died, her mother came to me in a dream and thanked me for all the things I've been doing for her. But she was so clearly next to me that I could see her clothing and the jewels she was wearing, and that was like practically physical. She was next to me, and then I could ask her, "Where is she now?" And then she explained that she was sleeping and that her father was also around her, and so on. And the same story. Whenever she wakes up, then it would like a dream. It would be like a dream.
Okay. So you never went through a tunnel,
No,
and none of
never.
the people that you witnessed passing away went through a tunnel.
No.
Okay. So what do you
I,
think about this tunnel business?
I think it's the mind.
Okay. I mean, I've read extensively from a lot of hypnotherapists and, you know, Raymond Moody, Michael Newton, Dolores Cannon. They all perceived from the descriptions of their subjects this pattern of uh, processes. You know, the soul comes out of the body. They see the body. They recognize they're done. They're out. They see the light. They go into the light. There's a tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, uh, someone is there to greet them and invite them forward or send them back. Um,
You know, you have two kinds of visions. One is guided, and one is transcendence.
hmm,
And the last one is the most valuable one. That is, let's say, the spontaneous visions you have. Um, my mind works in this way. Whenever I drive my car, I think of an accident. The accident is visual in front of me. I can see it right away, but I need to correct it. Otherwise, I will have the accident.
mhm,
And that's it the same what I see, that people expect some things, what you were reading or what they were studying, and they create that reality for them. So if I want to see the tunnel, then I will see the tunnel.
oh, okay, gotcha. As you think, so you become. We're boiling it back down to that. Um, I assume. So,
And that's what I see. I love to surrender. Just be what is.
hmm, that's an interesting one. So you rely more on perception than thought,
Yes, please.
right? Yeah, being in the present moment and experience what's under your eyes. That's a very valuable lesson.
You
Um,
know, and brain is polarized. It has also a good and a bad thing, so to say.
right, that's true. So one more question of a certain let's say fringe subject. So a lot of authors since in the 1920s, starting with Rudolf Steiner and then with the author of Gnosis and Gurdjieff himself, spoke about of soulless people. Dolores Cannon mentioned them as the backdrop people, and then some recent authors spoke about them as organic portals, individuals with physical bodies without individuality or soul. They call it soulless people.
Mhm, mhm.
What is your opinion? What you think on the subject?
Everything is possible.
Right. Okay.
I have had a master. When I was with him, I didn't understand anything. He was just sitting on the kitchen table, looking out of the window, drinking hot coffee with a shot of vodka and a shot of whiskey in there. I said, okay, well, the world cannot exist like this, my judgment. But later I understood what was happening. He saw his kitchen window as his screen and saw things happening there. And when it was not meant to happen, he would change it. But I only later I could see that. So I was very judgmental to him. And he always said, when I stayed a week with him in his house, he said, well, you think that nothing has happened. But now I understand what he did. He wrapped me up in all kind of layers of consciousness, and that opens by itself when it is due time. So many things are happening which are not supposed to happen. And someone needs to feel the responsibility to correct that. But you must be unable to see it. And then moreover, do you have permission to change it?
Can you disclose the name of this teacher of yours?
He was Gabriel of the seventh seal.
Is he still alive?
No, he died.
How did you meet him?
Well, it just happened.
All right. And where was that?
At that time, he lived in Ireland.
In Ireland. Okay.
But he moved later to London on various reasons. And well, we helped him to pass to the next levels.
Okay. Any books or left work from the man? No.
No. I can only say that he was for 30 years in Japan. He went to Japan to become world champion karate. And then he got a call of a Buddhist monk. He said, we invite you to come to our monastery. And then he would say, no, I will come tomorrow after my championship. And then he said, whenever you come, it is today or never.
Okay.
So he missed his championship karate. And then he moved in. I don't know whether he had a choice or not, but he lived there for 30 years. And he became, let's say, the upper Buddhist monk who was entitled to run this monastery. And he has very interesting stories of what happened there.
Do you know where he studied in Japan or which school?
No, I don't know even the name of the monastery. And I only know that he was very linked with the Queen Mother from Japan, who really trusted him. And she said that he was supposed to be the next king of Japan, but that never happened.
Right. Okay. Fascinating.
So, and then he moved back to Ireland to help his mother passing on, who was seriously ill. And then he never went back to Japan for reasons.
Okay.
But I mean, he said that he was not supposed to die. So that's one of the things which are not supposed to happen. But it happened because of various reasons. And he said to me that I was here to open the first, the root chakra. And look what I'm doing. I'm just telling the people how to get connected with the life mission, which is first chakra.
Okay. And so going back to the subject of soulless people and backdrop people, organic portal, remember that question? What do you think on the subject? It's possible, but
And it all happens. It all happens. But to my belief is we are interfering a lot.
okay.
Because we all want to be, like, say, the superior beings of knowledge and things which are supposed to happen. For me, it doesn't feel right. The same what I said in the beginning, we have a Merkaba field around the planet, which easily could be programmed. Through my heart, I can program that Merkaba field of the earth, but it doesn't feel right to do so. So that is not meant to be then. But I mean, we can program this Merkaba field to get rid of our climate problem. And next day it will be.
I mean, we know
But
the power of meditation and the power of global consciousness, and I'm sure that if we were able to gather as much people, yeah, we could. I mean, the power of thought is superior to any other, but
but what you also know is that we cannot take life experience away from people.
exactly. And free will is another big subject when
And we could be enlightened tomorrow, all of us, but we might, the day after, we might have forgotten it, that we are. Why? Because we didn't make a long journey to get it.
yeah. I mean, we're really following now a philosophical line of thought with all of this discussion. Um, my opinion at this point, and I say it humbly because I know very little and I experienced even less, um, is that we all need to get our asses on our meditation mattress or cushion and go inside, especially at a time like this in the world where we're basically trapped. Caged is the right word. We're forced and caged in our houses by a belief system imposed by fear of a pathogen. And I'm not going to go into that direction. I don't want to talk about the COVID and I don't want to talk about the fear. But the truth is, this is a time for everyone to look inside, and it's a time of inner exploration, and it's a time for guidance from not outside but from inside. And whether it comes through the mind or whether it comes from the heart, it's a process that has to eliminate external forces. And that, I think, it's fundamental for all individuals on the planet right now to seek their own inner guidance rather than demand or expect or hope for external individuals or forces to tell them what to do or what not to do, or how to think, or what to say, which is a humongous habit of all of the people on the planet. We're always waiting for someone to tell us what to think, what to do, to save us, to guide us, to direct us. And I think that time is over. We don't have the luxury of good leadership. So our leaders are the worst that they ever had been in human history.
Like Mr. T in in America.
I mean, we can talk about. I mean, I don't get me started with the Italian ones. So you know,
No, but to my belief, it is first of all, we cannot take life experiences away. I was shocked to see how people reacted after the first lockdown. They instantly jumped back to the life they had, buying and selling and wanting holidays and whatever. So the second lockdown came and the third lockdown came, and I don't know how many lockdowns we need more to open our vision and to say, okay, I cannot continue the way I was.
you know, there's still one thing to be said. There's 8 billion individuals on the planet, and we are not communicating as a unison. And that's why I want to make a connection to what I was thinking before about telepathy and the psychic abilities that are forcefully taken out of the scientific arena and criticized and demonized forever. I mean, like this subject is one that no one wants to touch, because if you do, you're considered like a quack or somehow a weirdo, and I do not appreciate that. And it's pretty clear to me that there is a control system based on this and the computer that we're talking through that wants to be an element of substituting the inner abilities of humanity, and that also connect me to the fact that still 8 billion people need somehow of a guidance or like a tool for universal discussion or decision making.
Do you know Lynn McTaggart?
Lynn McTaggart is another one that did an amazing work with her.
I was guided to join in with her online training to do intention groups. So I am now included in a little group here in Germany. We didn't meet yet, but it will happen. And I was so pleased to see that we had over 1,000 subscribers for that online seminar.
Right.
And this was all meant to be taught by her how we can set our intentions.
Yeah, recognition and intention is a big job, a big work that she's doing in it.
Right. So I mean, it is happening. I mean, those thousands, they have might spin off, you know, 1,000 to the 1,000th.
You know, another one that is doing amazing work around the subject is Dr. Sheldrake. Rupert Sheldrake wrote a lot of,
yeah,
amazing author. No one writes so clearly, so scientifically, and has done so much research on the subject of telepathy and psychic abilities. His book, The Sense of Being Stared At, it's going to be a monument. I mean, it's going down history. He will be remembered as the father of this science, you know, biocentrism or biomorphic fields is what he proposes, but his work on telepathy is literally a seminal work that includes pretty much all of the major phenomena that everyone experiences in their daily life without really recognizing that is telepathy or psychic ability. And
yeah, I wonder where Drunvalo comes up with. He is writing a book in the moment, and he said it was about Tantra.
I thought it was the third flower of life. No,
that is what he said before, but he might have changed in the meantime. Well, we'll see what comes.
Okay.
But I believe it is an important issue of that information that comes to us.
All right.
You know, but each time when you read his books, you read something different.
You do. I mean, there's more content that comes to your awareness every time you read the books that you didn't really pay attention before or you understood differently. I agree with you. Tom, I want to thank you, and maybe we can continue our conversation after I turn off the recording. I want to thank you, and I want to thank everyone that is watching this video. This is a moment to invite you to like the video and subscribe to our channel. There will be more interviews with other ATIH teachers. A pleasure to have these luminaries and, you know, long-term practitioners with us and discussing such subjects. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for joining in. If you have any questions, write them down below here. I'll try to answer them or pass them on to our teachers, and they may be willing to answer your questions as well. We'll have a live session in the future featuring multiple different teachers when you can also ask questions directly. Thank you very much again, and see you in the next interview. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.